Whew. All right, hey y'all. I wanted to take a moment and get on camera and share something that just happened with me, and I'm just praying that this comes out the way that I need it to and want it to, because I'm committed to, when I'm inspired, to try to share it as often as I can and as real and raw as I can, because I really want to help people. And I feel like some of the conversations that I have with people are just things that everybody needs to hear. Like, we all need to hear some version of this stuff to some degree. So please, I just hope this comes out. If I remember everything, because it was such a good conversation. And even after I had this conversation with this guy, I was like, man, I wish we could have recorded that, because everyone needs to hear this kind of stuff. And this kind of stuff happens all day, every day, you know. Well, actually, it doesn't happen all day, every day. Not like that. Like, that was really inspiring. But we have really good conversations, and I feel like sometimes I just wish other people could hear it, you know, and get it and understand it, because that's what this is about, you know. When we're trying to make all these different changes, like, understanding the way that we see things is so crucial to making this work over the long term. So anyway, so I had a guy reach out to me on email, Ryan Duplex, okay, and so Ryan had reached out a while back and just asked for some advice, and he said that he was low carb and ketogenic, and had hit, and Ryan can correct me if I'm wrong, but he had hit a plateau and he was looking for some advice, you know, and he had met me at some CrossFit training sessions that he had here with the NS Tech group, and he just had some questions about how to get through this plateau, you know. And of course, in my mind, I'm like, okay, here we go. You know, here's another low carb keto story, and I have my whole thoughts and views on all that stuff. Like, we've been doing low carb and ketogenic and all that stuff for a very long time. We're experts at it, and I just don't think it's the right path for everybody all the time, and it's very nuanced, you know. So whatever. So anyway, so we had a couple of emails back and forth, and I followed up with him a couple of weeks ago and finally got him in here and had him do an intake for him and had him do a food journal. And so when he came in, like, it was just really pleasant right off the bat, had some really good conversation. And I was like, okay, so what are we doing? Like, what are we here for? You know? And he's like, you know, he wants to get 6-pack abs. And of course, that's a conversation that I hear all the time from a lot of different people, you know? And he's like, you know, I don't know if I need to be eating more. I mean, eventually I want to get bulked up, you know, but I want to get 6-pack ab first, and then I want to get bulked up, and I want to get muscular. And, you know, I'm just wondering if I'm doing the right thing, if I'm eating enough food, if I need to change what I'm doing, because I'm doing low carb and ketogenic and all that stuff. So let me just see if I can remember how that whole conversation flowed. So then my next question to him was, what is it that you want long term? Like, bigger picture, like, you know, beyond like this immediate, like, you think you want to get 6-pack abs, what is it that you want long term? He's like, well, I want to bulk up. I'm like, okay, so bulk up. And we ended up bouncing back and forth between a bunch of different concepts. So my first idea around the bulking up was, you know, if you want to get bigger, if you want to tell your body what to do, you have to tell your body how to distribute the nutrients that you're taking in. So if you're in the realm of real food and you're eating meats and fats and vegetables and a little bit of fruit and a little bit of safe starches, what's going to dictate how your body composition looks is how you train. Because when you train, you're telling your body, I need you to support this type of activity and this type of movements. And so when you train, you're telling your body where to distribute the nutrients that it's taking in. And also when you train, you're going to a degree, dictate your hunger patterns, because your hunger patterns will start to change based on your training. You know, so if I'm training really intense and really hard and doing certain things and I'm not getting the food intake that I need to, or the nutrients or the calories or whatever, then my body's going to respond by making me hungry, and maybe making me hungry for different things. Ideally, theoretically, that's kind of the way that I look at it, right? And if you're in the real food realm, it's kind of hard to go wrong, you know? So I think a lot of people's idea, and again, like, I'm going to be bouncing all over the place with this, but it's from the heart. So I think a lot of people falsely believe that if they want to put on more muscle, they need to eat a lot more protein. And what we'd say is, like, you don't need to do that, because first of all, a lot of my muscle is not just protein. It's made up of a bunch of different things, and it's a lot of fatty acids. You know, all my cell membranes are made up of a phospholipid or bilipid or fatty lipid layer, And then all my tissues and things are combinations of amino acids and fatty acids and macro and micro minerals and all this other stuff. So, so I think the crucial component is eating real food, training really hard, making sure that your training is functional, and then your body will distribute your body composition in a way that supports your activity, you know, as long as you're in the real food realm. And what else did we talk about? I want to make sure that I get all this. You know, so that kind of made sense to him, you know, and so I asked him what he was doing for working out, and he's doing mainly like some strength training type stuff a couple days a week where he's doing bench press, and correct me again if I'm wrong, Ryan, but like, you know, some lifting type stuff like powerlifting, maybe some Olympic lifting type stuff. And I got a chance to make a big plug for intensity, you know, because you know, adaptation in the body. And let me preface all this with, like, I don't think that I'm like some amazing looking guy. I know that I'm big, and I know I'm muscular, and you know, Ryan was talking about, you know, he wants to have a 6-pack abs, and he was talking about me and Colby and how we look, you know, and I was like, well, look, man, if Colby takes his shirt off, he looks like Captain America. If I take my shirt off, I look like a gorilla, and I'm perfectly happy with that, you know. One thing that I really want people to understand is that we're brainwashed to think that we need to look a certain way, and what I want people to understand is that if I eat real food, and I move functionally, and I train hard, and I get sun exposure every day, and I go to sleep, and I meditate, and I do all the things that we know facilitate health, then maybe my idea of what I want my body to look like and what my body actually wants to look like based on those inputs is two completely different things, because my mental picture of that is based on years, if not decades, of conditioning and brainwashing and commercials and magazines and television, all this kind of stuff, you know? So like, I am so happy with the way that I am and the way that I look. And that's not saying that I don't want to get better and look better and get stronger and all that stuff, but I trust my process. I trust real food, I trust sleep, I trust sun, I trust nature, I trust the programming from Colby, and I let all the rest of it work itself out. So one of my big takeaways with Ryan was that, look, man, like, part of what we're doing here has to be moving towards simplicity and elegance and freedom and enjoying life and not being neurotic about stuff. You know, and I was telling them, like, I had my years where me and my cohort out in California, like, we were big into the low-carb ketosis scene, and we would measure ketones, blood ketones, urine ketones, breath ketones, glucose levels, chart it, track it, you know, did all the biohacking stuff for a very long period of time. And I'm at a point now that I look, feel, and perform better than I have in my entire life, and I'm not doing any of that. Like, I'm not being that neurotic about anything, and I love my life, and I love the way I feel, and all of us feel the same way around that kind of stuff. So anyway, I got to make a big chance, or I got a chance to make a big plug for functional fitness and movement. So then we got off on this topic of, you know, why is it that guys like to look big and muscular? Like, it's really fascinating. Like, most guys, you know, not all guys, most guys want to be big and have big muscles and stuff like that. Well, I truly believe that look is an indicator for health. Like, it's an evolutionary trait, for lack of a better way of saying it, right? So a person, ideally, theoretically, that looks big and muscular and lean and fit, it's a sign of being capable. It's a sign of being functional, right? It's an evolutionary trait of strength and survivability or something along those lines, right? So why is it that we all like to look like that as guys? We want to move in that direction or why is it that we like that look in general? It's because we have a very primal conditioning to want to be capable and fit, and that look is representative of someone that's fit and capable, although you can get that look in other ways, you know. So and then we had a chance to talk about, like, bodybuilding days. You know, back in my bodybuilding days, yes, I was big, yes, I was muscular, I was also extremely overweight because I was eating all the wrong things and stuff like that, and but it was different. You know, I feel like we look even better now than we did back in our weightlifting days because we are completely functional and capable. You know, and I was bringing up Colby, you know, because Ryan had asked, well, Colby's always looked like that, hasn't he? You know, I'm like, no, if you look at pictures of Colby back when I first met him, he looked healthy. I mean, he looked relatively fit. He looked like a Navy SEAL kind of guy, but he, relative to what he is now, he was kind of scrawny. And he definitely did not have the musculature and the vascularity and the capabilities that he has now. And those are all representative of the fact that we can do stuff. Like, we're fully functional and capable. And I truly believe, again, that if you feed the body right and you sleep well and you're focused on all these different aspects of health and you train hard and you train functionally, and when I say train functionally, what I mean is moving in a direction of general preparedness and being able to do just about anything at any given point in time. You know, it's like if you had a hopper, a lottery spinning thing of an infinite number of exercises and combinations of exercises and movements, and that includes like anything and everything, like weightlifting, gymnastics type stuff, running, carrying, crawling, sprinting, you know, stuff overhead, whatever. Like you could pull out any combination of anything at any time and be able to do that. That is true fitness. Now, if I can do that, I also have to create a body that facilitates that. So that's why we start to move in this direction of being bigger and stronger and fitter looking, because we are actually fit and capable, you know. So anyway, you know, one of my big plugs to him was that, you know, so I looked at his food journal, and his food journal is perfect. Like the dude is eating like 100% real food, and it would mimic like one of my days to a large degree, back when I was eating multiple meals in a day. And I was like, dude, you don't need to change anything. Like I think what you need to do is you need to change your intensity level and your training just a little bit, experiment with it for sure. I gave him some different things that he could experiment with as far as food goes. But you know, like he's eating 100% real food, and I just said, like, we need to move in this direction of trusting the body and trusting the process and trusting real food and understanding that it's magical. Like we have people ask us all the time, and I know Colby does for sure, because we talk about this almost every day. Like people come up to him and they say, you know, Colby, what do you do? Like, what do you do like for food and stuff like that, for nutrition? And he's like, I follow Paul's program. No, seriously, what do you do? I follow Paul's program to a T. He's one of our biggest advocates. People ask me all the time, like, do you really just eat real food? Like, you don't do protein powders? You don't do pre-workout stuff and all that stuff? I'm like, yeah, I really do what I say that I do. I eat 100% real food. I nurture space in between meals. I meditate every day for 30 minutes. I get sun exposure every day. I ground every day. I go to bed at 7:30. I wake up at 3:30. I get good sleep. That's all I do, you know. And then as far as workouts go, I work out for an hour of power most days, and that's it. I trust it, you know. So we got off on this topic about training, you know, and training frequency and stuff like that. And he's like, so you and Colby and them don't ever you know, go in there and plan like these lifting sessions and stuff like that. And I was like, well, I mean, we've been through our phases of different ideas around that. There was a time that we used to do 2-a-days, especially when we first opened the gym, and we went to Catalyst Athletics, which is a pretty well-known Olympic lifting organization, just a really, really great resource for stuff. And they got all these free workout plans, like 6-week squat program, 8-week squat programs, 12-week squat programs, Olympic lifting programs, you know, that includes all variations of squats and you know, weights and intensities and progressions and percentages, and you know, the Olympic lifting, you've got the snatches and cleans and jerks and the pulls and the deadlifts and all that stuff, you know. And it's exhausting, man. I'll tell you what, we did that for a little bit, and a squat day with that program, just one day, will completely wipe you out, you know. But anyway, we did go through our phase of wanting to do you know, like we'd do the morning programming, the CrossFit programming here, and then we'd all meet up in the gym later in the afternoon, like around 1 or 2 o'clock, and do a lifting session. And it was fun, it was great, you know, we're in there just joking around and being guys and lifting heavy weights and stuff like that. But I think eventually most of us ran into some what felt like overtraining issues and some injuries. And then we had this mindset that we're going to do an experiment where we just do the workout every day, you know, and let's just see what happens with that, you know. And things started to move in such a better direction. And I also remember, as far as programming goes, and I told you I was going to be bouncing around all over the place here. I also remember, as far as programming goes, Colby used to do the traditional CrossFit programming, which in the beginning was, you know, every day you do a warm-up, you do a strength something, and then you do a Metcon or a conditioning session, right? So every day would look something like, you know, you do some squatting, some heavy squatting, and then you do something conditioning based, or you do some snatch work and something conditioning based. Like it almost always had that little strength and then Metcon component to it. And at some point things shifted. I'm not sure if it was CrossFit as an organization or just Colby's mentality around things. And by the way, I trust Colby completely 100% with his programming, because he gets it. Like he totally gets it. He understands like what we're trying to do with people and movement and fitness and all that stuff. So at some point things shifted to where Colby was like, you know, moved away from that, and it's just like, we're focusing on one workout in a day, and that's it. And the focus is going to be different every day. Like some days the workout's going to be a long workout, some days it's going to be short. Sometimes we'll do 2 different things, you know, 2 different little mini sessions or whatever, you know, but the goal was to have a focus, for the workout. And then you come in and you're just literally 100% focused on that focus for the workout, and that's your thing, And so we started doing that as an experiment, and here we are today, fitter and leaner and stronger and more capable than we've ever been. I'm 43 years old, and Ryan was asking, well, are you still getting better? Well, I don't know that I'm ever going to PR my back squat again, because my strongest back squat was 390 pounds. And that was a few years ago when I was doing a lot of lifting versus not so much of the conditioning type stuff. But at the same time, we just did some heavy back squats last week or a couple weeks ago, heaviest set of 3, and if I'm not mistaken, I got like 325 for 3 reps. I mean, that's pretty freaking heavy, and we don't ever squat. I mean, we do squats all the time, and we do all these movements that facilitate squats, but we don't squat. And then a couple weeks ago, we did our heaviest set of 3 of deadlifts. And I deadlifted 415 pounds 3 times, and we never deadlift. We don't come in here and deadlift 2 or 3 days a week like we used to. And it's because all the movements that we do in here support all the other movements that we do in general. And it's making a very fit and capable and strong and conditioned person. So I feel like most of us that have been doing this for some time and we're committed to the real food piece of it, the way that we do real food, we're pretty freaking capable and broad. Yeah, I'm strong, relatively strong, but I feel like I'm pretty damn conditioned and flexible and capable. We had in the open workouts, we had muscle ups. And I told Ryan, he's like, well, don't you ever get bored of the same thing? At some point, don't you feel like you've kind of mastered everything? Absolutely not. You can always get better at everything. That's what I love about this fitness here, is that we're always doing things different, and you can always hone your skills in those different areas. And I told him, I've been working on muscle ups for years, and the open workout, we had ring muscle ups, and I got ring muscle ups. I mean, here I am, 43 years old, 205 pounds, relatively strong, can deadlift 415 for 3 reps, and back squat 325 for 3 reps, and yet I can still do a muscle up on a bar or on rings. I mean, I think that's pretty damn cool, and again, I don't think that I'm like some great specimen or anything like that, but I think it's a testament to what we can do here. So my big takeaway message with them was, look, man, I totally get that mentality of what do I need to do to get my body here? But what I want him to understand, and what I want people to understand, is your focus has to be health, and your focus has to be eating real food the way that we recommend eating real food, and your focus should be, from a fitness standpoint, to be capable. Because if you want the look, whatever that look is, the bigger, bulkier, stronger, for women, the curves and the butt and the legs and the shoulders and all that stuff, if you want that look is supposed to be representative of someone that is capable and generally prepared. And that's what we do in here. And can you get there by doing Stairmaster and glute machine exercises and pull downs and all that? Yeah, sure, but it's not the same. These people here can do stuff. If there's a citywide emergency and we had to do something together, I would band with these people, because we can all do things together, and we understand how to eat real food, and the importance of all these things that we understand are crucial for health. So I just want him and everyone to understand that this lifelong holistic health journey, it's very crucial. So to a degree, we do want to be neurotic about staying within those guidelines and those boundaries. And at the same time, we want things to be simple and elegant and freeing. And we don't want to be neurotic about stuff. We want things to be easy. We want to have a good time with it. We want to enjoy it. I've been through my years of being neurotic about stuff and being really hard on myself about things. I understand people coming from that realm, because we've been there and done that, and I want people to enjoy the process and feel free. And that's not to say that you don't have things that you want to see change and shift, and you don't need to work on those things. You don't need to change things to get in that direction. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is we want to be easy about the process, and I think we want to give a lot more credence and credibility to our innate intelligence and our higher self and our higher wisdom, and understand that if I feed my body real food, and I nurture metabolic flexibility, and I train my body how to use fat for fuel, and that doesn't mean that I need to be low carb or ketogenic, because I can burn fat for fuel. I have carbs almost every night, and I stay about the same body composition. I feel like I'm always getting just slightly leaner. Not that I care about that anymore, but But anyway, as long as we eat real food and we structure our eating in a way that facilitates metabolic flexibility and the body's ability to tap into fat stores, and we train functionally and we train with intensity, and we get sun exposure and we ground every day and we sleep well, if we do all that stuff to a degree, like, we need to trust that our body is going to move us in the right direction. And if we're doing all that and we're not happy with it, then either we need to understand that my vision of what I want my body to look like and what my body actually wants to look like might be two different things, or I may be one of these rare people that does have something that needs to be addressed or worked on. But even within that context, we have to be easy on ourselves. We have to enjoy the process. We have to not be neurotic about things and understand that the optimal way to be and live is to follow the basics and be really strict with the basics, and within those basic guidelines, enjoy ourselves and have fun and not be neurotic about stuff. So I feel like that's about everything that we had talked about. I feel like I really got through to him, you know. I feel like I really got through about the point about when it comes to working out, like the way that you force adaptation is you need intensity. You know, when I say intensity, that's relative. It's different for everybody. I'm not saying that you have to kill yourself and injure yourself. What I'm saying is, within the context of moving properly and having some consistency with your movements, learning how to push the boundary of intensity, because intensity is what forces adaptation in the body. You know, if I work out for 2 days a week and I'm blowing it out, like, and again, staying with good form and consistency, I'm going to get plenty of adaptation from that, versus working out for 2 days a week where I'm just going into a gym and for 2-3 hours and walking around pushing around some weights and doing some machines or something like that. And I'm telling you, like, I am not going to get the intensity level on my own that I get from these group classes here, because I have friends and people that motivate me. I love our classes. Like, I love the classes that I work out with. I love coming in and watching the classes and pushing people and cheering them on and coaching them through. And there's an intensity that comes with that you're just not going to get on your own. I could not, like this morning we did 40 30-inch box jumps, box jump overs, a 400-meter run, and then 40 100-pound D-balls over the shoulder, alternating shoulders, right? That's a brutal workout. And I would not have pushed my intensity level if I had not been with this great, amazing group of people and had an amazing coach. So big shout out to Ryan Milner and our 5 a.m. guinea pig crew and everybody here at the CrossFit Combine, because it's such an amazing group of people. It's just, we've built something so beautiful here. And of course, a big shout out to the whole, you know, our community, the people that follow our food principles, and the superhuman community, the SHT community, for being who you are and just trying to be diligent with all this stuff. And what else? Is there anything else that I'm missing that we talked about in that whole conversation? Yeah, man. I'm gonna try one more time to summarize the whole thing. You don't need to work out more to get the results you want. You need to work out for an hour a day, because you have a life and you need to do other stuff and you need your energy to be devoted to other things. As long as that hour a day is focused on functional movements and being generally capable, and that you're pushing intensity within the realms of proper movement patterns and being consistent. So more working out is not the answer. It's actually do less to accomplish more, right? 1 hour of power and be done with it so your body can rest and recuperate. So if you're one of these people that thinks that you need to go to the gym for 2 hours and do an extra hour session of cardio, you know, is worthless. You get cardio when you do stuff like this because you're getting conditioning. You know, extra exercise is not going to do anything. It's not going to burn more calories or anything like that. Also, you need to eat real food. Like, be 100% committed to real food, like all the way, all the time. Ryan asked me, like, when you go out, like, do you ever, like, you know, make little mistakes? I mean, 99% of the time I don't. Like, I don't care what the situation is. I mean, I'm gonna ask, like, what is it cooked in? I'm not gonna get stuff that I know has stuff that I'm trying to avoid. Like, it's just not worth it to me, because I'm too committed to my health. And that's not to say that once in a blue moon we'll go out and, you know, do a donut or a piece of pizza or something like that. But in general, I'm 100% all the time, you know. I'll probably drink a little bit more than I need to here and there. But so anyway, functional fitness, intensity, hour power, find a place that does it for you properly. The CrossFit Combine is my place. Colby Phillips, I mean, you know, one of the greatest gifts that I've ever experienced in my entire life. One of the best friends I've ever had. A good business mentor, and genuinely cares about the members here. You know, hour of power, come in, learn how to do functional fitness, and then, you know, learn how to eat real food. And I don't think there's a better way than our way, because we've been vegan, paleo, keto, low carb. Like, we're experts in all those different realms, and real food is bigger and broader than that. One of the things that I told Ryan was, hey man, like, you know, you don't want to be a part of this very narrow-minded, dogmatic methodology. You want to have a bigger picture that's a little bit more compassionate, a little bit more encompassing. And then the question is, within that bigger picture, what is it that I need to figure out that works best for me? You have to learn how to do experiments, and that's what we teach people. That's how we facilitate change. You know, so he's been low-carb ketogenic, and I told him, you know, maybe an experiment for you would be to bring back in a little bit of carbs. If you're doing a little bit of carbs from fresh fruit and safe starches, and you're moderating it to half a cup each per evening, maybe a couple of nights a week or something like that, I think there's nothing but good that's going to come out of that. And then, you know, like he has a lot of dairy. Like he has cream every day in his coffee, he has cheese most days. I saw in his food journal, I said an experiment would be to go without dairy. You know, we do that all the time. We recommend people do what's called a cleanse, and they pull out dairy and nuts and seeds and nightshades and things, something that looks like an autoimmune protocol, because you need to see how your body responds without that, and you need to see how your body responds when you bring that stuff in. So anyway, figure out how to move properly with intensity while learning how to do it right, and this is the best place for it. Figure out how to eat real food and do it our way. If you haven't learned from us, like obviously, like we just love working with people and getting people on their path. And if you do those things and you get sun every day and you meditate and you give some importance to sleeping, trust your body's innate intelligence to figure stuff out. And if you're hitting some roadblocks within the context of trying to do all that stuff right, visit with someone like us, because we can coach you through the process. And maybe you need to see a doctor. You know, maybe we have a really good partnership with a local functional medicine MD, and he's amazing. You know, he can help people get through little barriers and roadblocks and stuff like that. And I don't know, I hope this is useful. It's all from the heart. All right, I think that's about all I got. Is there anything else? No? What else did we talk about? Yeah, okay. All right, thank you for listening and watching and paying attention. I have no idea what we're going to call this video, but it is something. Okay, thank you so much.